Is it true, Mr. M, that you are an artist?
Yes, sir.
Is it true that you have painted poppies and fields of poppies?
Yes, I have.
Do you know what poppies are used to make, Mr. M?
Well, some people think it's pretty great dope.
Yeah. Heroin, right?
Heroin,
Are you celebrating the drug culture, Mr. M?
Well, you know, I'm sure they'll turn it that way on me one day. So
are you just like the color and delicate nature of the poppy? Is that why it is the subject of many of your paintings?
Well, I never really wanted to paint flowers, but I did one for a client, and everybody went nuts. And then it went on then it got published, and then it went on and on and on and on and on. And I said, oh, I guess I'm a flower painter. They still like them. I just say, can we move on? Can we move on?
Can we move on to do something other than flowers? Your irises, by the way, are there's something about an iris. I mean, I think it was Van Gogh that took the iris to the next level in terms of just a subject for art. But that's the first time I've ever been to your website. Oh yeah. And the first flower that seen is irises, and they're gorgeous.
Well, Miss Middle likes that very much. I sold the original, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that one's a real beauty.
We have a print.
Okay, that's a beauty.
Thank you very much.
My favorite, of course, are I just like landscapes. I've always been fond of landscapes, and you've got some drop dead gorgeous landscapes. But you've got the picture that you drew of it's featured on the heading of your site. Just the rowboat, the old wooden boat, in a small section of water. It looks like it's done in the Impressionist style, like it's kind of your adaptation of the Claude Monet.
Could be.
Impressionist.
Anything associating me with Claude, that's good.
That's good.
Claude Harmon or Claude Monet, either one.
Yeah, either one. But it is a bit impressionist. I mean, you weren't trying to capture the exact essence of the thing, but actually use the impressionist style to capture its nature, if not its exact lines.
Yeah, I've done this for 45 years, and I've been more like a commercial. I approached it more like a commercial artist, and the clients tell me what they want, or the magazines tell me what they want, and I like to work. So I don't push my style down on everybody's throat. If you want that, I can do that. I can do this. Whatever.
Yeah, I saw something that you commissioned for the Finnish National Museum, and there.
No. That was a painting that's in the Finnish National Museum. But the lady from one of my clients from Finland, she saw it and she said, "They're not going to sell it to me, and I don't have that much money. Will you paint me a copy of it?" And it's
okay. Because Because there the style is more precise in terms of more like it was you were taking a photograph of the scene.
All right.
So it's an entirely different style. There weren't the broad strokes of the Impressionist style. Well, my favorite art, by the way, is Impressionist. I mean, I happen to really like it. I know that Van Gogh had a much harsher, more modern adaptation of Claude Monet's very soft style. But I like both of those two. Because you're trying to communicate the nature of something really, and as opposed to just taking a picture of it. Because if you want to take a picture, you got a camera.
Yeah. So well, nowadays it just about put us out of business. They're so good in the camera. So.
Yeah.
Change the world.
Yeah. So that's fun stuff. Is the picture of the golfer there? Is that the Kirkmeister himself?
No, that's the golf pro who's he commissioned me to do him.
Oh, okay.
So I did that for him.
Okay. All right. The fellow then standing on the homepage by one of the paintings, is that the Kirkmeister?
Probably is. I rarely look at the site.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure it's that one. It should be me standing by something. Usually me.
Okay. So So the reason that there's various styles is because you do this for a living, and so.
If I could get them to all buy one thing, I would do one thing, and then I'd be playing golf by 2 o'clock. But it don't work.
Okay, it doesn't work that way. No. No. Yeah, I found in business that it's rather important to give people what they want. In fact, I was the world's worst salesman. I started once I dropped out of law school. I went into to sales, and I was so bad at it that I earned about 25 cents an hour. I was working 90 hours a week, and I think I made $12,000 my first year working 90 hours a week. I don't know if that comes to 25 cents an hour, but I was really bad at it. And so I figured out, since I couldn't sell, that maybe if I simply offered people what they wanted, that they would choose to buy it, and then I wouldn't have to sell. So I just became an expert at listening to people, finding out what they wanted, and figured out, what do I have in my arsenal that will meet that particular desire? And I offered it to them.
That's about my career.
Yeah. If you were given a free license, you could paint in any style, and you could paint any subject. What would it be?
I've always done people. If you go to the portrait section and the ballerinas and this, I don't care that much about the dancers, but I like people, so it's always people.
Yeah, so it's more the ballerina and dance section of the site then would represent what you find the most.
Yeah, there's a section on portraits and stuff where I do that, but that's I like the Rockwells and the Rembrandts and the people like that, paint people.
Yeah, yeah. If I were to share, and I'm going to give this as an insight into maybe my warped nature, but if you were to ask me, what is the single most beautiful thing that God created? And I would say it would be a slender, athletic-looking woman. So, you look at ballerinas. That's your favorite picture in terms of looking now, and it's virtually all women.
Well, I did a lot of them, yeah.
That ballerinas are all slender. They're very athletic looking, but the feminine form, particularly dressed like a ballerina, which is you're covering those things which are to be private, but you're still showing a significant amount of the form, which is the whole purpose of the outfit, and doing something that is graceful and athletic looking. I just think I think the most beautiful thing that God created was woman. That's my personal opinion.
I'll vote for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of beautiful things. The aardvark is not high among them, but the feminine form, if you were to pick something in God's creation, it's pretty hard to beat that. I happen to be a big fan of waterfalls and sunsets. They happen to be high on my list, and I love looking at mountains. Mountains can be almost any form, shape, and I'm a sucker for a mountain view. I like water views too, but and you take a stream running through mountains with cascading over rocks with pines. I can almost smell and feel what it's like to be there. Yeah, so
it's a fun thing to do.
It is a fun thing to do, but to do it well, you have to
practice.
You've got to have a lot of practice. You've got to spend a lot of time at it. You've got to be very observant.
Yeah.
And you have to understand.
Shamar, huh?
Yeah, back to Shamar. You've got to understand the concepts of light and shading, and have to understand perspective.
Yeah. Composition.
Yeah.
A bit.
Composition, yeah. And you also have to understand dimensions.
Very much
that
so.
you're trying to convey, actually, a snapshot in a four-dimensional construct in 2 dimensions.
And create the illusion and have them still.
Yeah, the illusion of, in fact, all of your ballerinas, you see the snapshot in time, and you know where they have come from and where they're going.
That's well put. Let me write that down. You want to email me on that so I can post it?
Okay. The whole thing is just really elegant. It's a beautiful beautiful site and beautiful art. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's an advertisement for you can say your last name if you want it known. If you want to be just Kirk, you can be just Kirk. But for those who are interested, there is a Kirk. I don't know if you want to share your last name.
Oh, it's Miller. And nobody,
Yeah. Okay.
I'm retired.
Kirk Miller. Yeah. The Kirk
A
Miller.
lot of damage.
Kirk Miller Art Studio. Yep. Yeah. Kirk Miller Art Studio, and you can find it online if you Google it, and you can, if you've got a favorite cat, you can commission Kirk, and he'll draw it for you. He'll paint it for you.
I work.
Yeah.
I'm semi-retired. So.
Oh, you are semi-retired. Okay. So you still teach?
I teach 4 classes a week, and that's about all I can handle anymore. But
okay.
And then art shows and things like that. And
so you're currently preparing for a show?
Yes, very much. Well, everything's kind of caught up with me here. The last few weeks, I've kind of put everything on the back burner, and now all my due dates are coming due. So I'm working feverishly to catch up on those things. But
okay, a lot of new material that you're going to be showing, or
well, a little bit, not a whole lot. It's getting ready for another show and some demos that I have to do. I have to work out some things because the people asked me to come do demos, and I'll be doing some of those in the not too distant future. But I have to be prepared and tell them what I'm going to do, and there's a lot more organization to it than just showing up and doing it. So it's preparation, a lot of preparation work as well. So
okay.
But that's what I do. Between that and this is that kind of keeps my day rather busy.
Okay.
Now I listened to you last night. I came in about 9:30 after class last night, and before I went to bed, I listened to the archives of the second hour last night. And I wanted to ask you something,
sure.
Or make a comment about it. I went through, as you were doing, I think 17, 12, or 13, or I think maybe 11 and 12. I thumbed on through to about 17, 19, which ends that chapter, I believe. And at the very end of it, there's 2 words in there in his summation, and Yah's summation, where he talks about his family covenant relationship and his that will be forever and ever. And I wanted to ask you something about that because I did a couple of lookups on some things, and I had a question that.
He uses olam, and which is the Hebrew word for forever, into infinity, and forever and ever, forevermore. And he often uses it in conjunction with other words to convey unlimited time. So yes, Kurt. Yahowah refers to his covenant as everlasting, forevermore, into eternity, which is, by the way, different than what he has to say about the yons and tittles of his existing Torah. He doesn't say that his Torah, capital T, his existing teaching is forever. He says it's going to continue to be in full effect so long as the heavens and earth exist. The heavens and earth are not going to exist forever.
Forever, no.
So, because he's going to create a new universe for us, and in the new universe we're going to have his instruction, but his instruction will be how to get the most enjoyment out of eternity in 7 dimensions, as opposed to trying to navigate our 3.5-dimensional construct here, with flawed as we are.
Yeah.
But so the Torah, as it exists, has a shelf life. It exists until for as long as the universe exists, but his family doesn't have a shelf life. His one and only covenant exists olam, forever.
Right. Now here's what I do, and this will lead us to the question.
Okay.
In order to not be influenced by anything, I before I read your commentary or anything, now I've read your books and everything, so I know where you're coming from. So, but what I generally do when I have a little self-study.
And by the way, so for listeners, where I'm coming from is to the best of my ability from what the words say.
Absolutely.
And the only thing that I will do beyond what the words communicate and what the words mean is that if I have been inspired with a connection that helps relate what was just said to something that Yahowah has said elsewhere, I will try to make that connection so that it helps people think through the process. You might come to a different conclusion, but at least it leads you to the conclusion that I came through based upon making connections with what the words say. So that's where I come from, is what the words say.
And what I was implying is, I'm not just trying to parrot what you say. I'm trying to find all the sources I can, like doing a little research paper. Is this what's there? And what I did last night on these two words, of course, I looked them up, and the oldest information I have on ancient Hebrew thought, as well as Dead Sea Scroll stuff. And then I looked the two words up to see if that's what it said in the Leningrad Codex, which is supposed to be about the 11th century one. And I went to 29 Bible sources. I know that's a rotten word, but that's what they call them. 29 different Bible sources in English of over a mountain of time where they published these things. And every one of them said exactly the same thing, that he's made this covenant forever with Yahshua and all his Yishak, rather, and all of the children that follow. So then, when you sit there and think about that just a minute.
So every Bible translation says that the covenant, I made the covenant forever.
Forever with this family.
Right.
So now,
and Ishak just happens to be the child of Abraham and Sarah that Yahowah facilitated his birth for the express purpose of the covenant.
Exactly. So now, if that's true, then you have to ask this question. You have to say to yourself, then if Christianity has any merit at all, then it would have to imply that there are two families, because the only way you can get around that, you're either going to be part of this family under these conditions, or he somewhere along the line decided he's going to make a second family, and which would make you like a stepchildren. I mean, that's so incongruous. It's just so... You can't. How can you reconcile that? You can't.
No, and replacement theology doesn't work.
No. Because
replacement theology would have God changing the nature of that family, which he said was going to be forever.
Forever.
So if he's creating this family and he's delineated its nature, replacement theology would be to say that I don't want those people to be part of my family anymore. I don't want these to be the conditions for participating in my family. I don't even want these to be the benefits. I'm going to replace those things with something else that would make him wholly and completely untrustworthy.
Yeah.
And he can't have gone from the original family to a new family, because if he did that, then he would have walked away from that which he said is forever.
Yes. So if you preach this stuff, anything other than this is the family, this is the way, this is the path, these are the covenant things, then you have to be totally lying, and anybody who would look it up in any simple little thing. That took me all of about 15 minutes.
Okay, let's just say that there is a new family. That God decided, that old family, they're a bunch of jerks. I don't like them anymore. I made a mistake when I said it was going to be forever. I changed my mind, and I'm going to have a new family. Do you think that he would have announced that he was going to have a new family, and he would have told us with whom he was going to form this association?
Well, you would think so. Nobody could stop him from saying it if they didn't like it.
So Kirk, are you aware of any place in the Torah, prophets, and Psalms that Yahowah speaks of what could be construed potentially as a second covenant, as a new covenant?
No, it cannot happen.
Okay, let's pretend for a moment that the Hebrew word kodesh, which speaks of renewal, which speaks of reaffirmation. It's the word for month, and it's based upon light being renewed or growing on the reflective surface of the moon.
Okay.
And let's say that as a verb, kodesh, which defines the term kodesh as a noun, meant new instead of renewed or reaffirmed.
Okay.
So if we take that leap, which is I think a leap towards miscommunication, but if we were to take that leap, could you please tell me if there's any place that Yahowah spoke of a Kodesh covenant?
Yes.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Very.
And if his intent were to have a second covenant, would he call it a second covenant, or would he use terms that speak of the reaffirmation of the existing covenant?
Well, I would think it would have been the latter.
Yeah, and he didn't, did he?
No.
No, he spoke of it being a reaffirmation of the existing covenant.
Exactly.
And if he were to create an entirely different covenant with an entirely different group of people, he was going to do this for the uncircumcised. He was going to do it for the Pauline Greeks and Pauline Romans. And he was going to do this with Gentiles, which would mean the non-Jews. In Yirmiyahu 31, where he introduces this concept,
Right.
do you think that he would have said that I'm going to create a new covenant with the Gentiles, if that was his intent?
He's very, he explains everything in great detail, so I think he didn't all of a sudden just change and he would have left that out.
Now, did he actually specify the people? So, because he's a master communicator, if he was going to do it with Greeks and Romans and with the uncircumcised and with Gentiles, he would have said so. But let's just say that he left it ambiguous. Did he leave it ambiguous, or did he tell us who he was going to reaffirm this covenant with?
I'm afraid you're out of luck again if you're looking for something else, because he said, I'm going to make it with the Jews, or with the...
Yeah, he said, like he said specifically with Yisrael and with Yahowah. I mean, it's specific. Yisrael, Yahowah.
Yeah.
Oops. So it's impossible, based on what he said, to attribute, even if you mistranslate Kodesh as new, as opposed to reaffirm.
All right.
Even if you do that, or restore, even if you were to do that, and there's a lot of people that do that just because it fits their religion. Even if you were to do that, you'd have to take this statement out of context, because he specifies with whom he's going to reaffirm this covenant with, doesn't he? And it's the antithesis of a Gentile church.
No.
It's the opposite of the people Paul claimed that he was the ambassador to. It's Israel and with Yahowah. Now there's another little problem here, too. The existing covenant, well, what book is it found in?
It's not found in anything New Testament. It's only found in the Old, what they call the Old Testament, or the Torah.
It's specifically presented in the Torah, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So you have a covenant that is presented in the Torah that is very specific, that Yahweh says is forever. Is that correct? And then you've got this religion of Christianity that claims that they have a new covenant, a New Testament, based on an entirely different group of people with entirely different means to relationship and salvation. And they claim that their means specifically excludes the Torah's instructions. Correct?
Well, yeah, they even claim that the people who are under the old covenant would have to go get there going their way.
Their way. So the Pauline Christianity is the Torah has been done away with, and the covenant, in fact, he even says in Galatians that the covenant that was memorialized in the Torah enslaves. He said it was of Hagar and enslaves. Now, when Yahweh says there's going to be a difference between the covenant relationship that he had with Abraham, Yitzhak, and Jacob, and the reaffirmation of his Torah when he goes about reaffirming it with Yisrael and with Yahowah, he states there's only one difference.
One difference.
What is that difference?
Well, that difference is he's going to put it in your heart. So it's not a book you have to go study as we're doing now. It will be in our being.
He's actually going to write his Torah inside of us. Isn't that what he says?
That's what he said.
He's going to write his Torah inside of us. So how could you have a new covenant based upon the rejection of the Torah, if Yahowah's only mention of the Torah, of the covenant's reaffirmation, is predicated on the wholesale integration of the Torah, so that it literally becomes part of the fabric of our lives.
Yeah, it would make you rather schizophrenic, wouldn't it?
Wow.
How do you put both of those things in your brain? You can't.
You talk about absolute opposites.
Mm-hmm.
So the one place that Yahowah actually presents the possibility that there is a different covenant that gives you any hope for Christianity, he dashes it with whom and how.
And how. Mm-hmm. So
wow.
Yeah.
And by the way, once he's finished telling you with whom and how, which is to integrate the Torah,
right.
He actually follows it by a line that we don't talk about a lot. But you know what he says?
No.
He says that the reason that I'm going to do this, a cause and consequence, the consequence of me doing this is there will be no more religious deception. I will completely eliminate religious deception by doing this. What is the antidote for religious deception today? If you want to know whether something is true or false, what standard would you compare it to?
Well, you go back to the Torah.
If a perfect copy of the Torah was written inside of you by the author of the Torah, do you think that at that point you'd be fairly well equipped?
I think you win those debates.
Yeah, you'd be a Larry on steroids, wouldn't you? I mean, Larry is just spectacular. For those that don't know, at citing the absolute perfect statement from Yahowah as the antidote for any religious rubbish. I mean, he's got him at his fingertips.
Yeah.
But we would all be Larrys, wouldn't we?
Well, we could put them right out like him. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And if the Jehovah's Witnesses knock on your door, you would have the answer right there, right?
Yeah, well, I've had fun with the Jehovah's Witnesses. I said, so who are you witnessing on behalf of? Jehovah? Jehovah. Okay, so you think God's name is Jehovah. Okay, so where do you find, because he communicated in Hebrew, didn't he? Where do you find a J in Hebrew? Let's go to the next one. Where do you find the V in the Hebrew? You study these. You're an artist. You've observed the Hebrew alphabet. Have you? How does Yahowah draw the letter J?
He doesn't draw the letter J.
He doesn't have the letter J, does he?
No, he doesn't have one.
Doesn't even have a J sound, does he?
No.
How about the letter V? How does Yahowah draw the letter V?
There is no V. They've added some stuff. They've added a V, but it ain't there. It ain't there in anything until we get to way down the road when they.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they actually haven't added the V. What they have done is chosen to change the sound when it suits them of two letters. They sometimes, like it's Rabbi Akiba, but sometimes you'll see it written in English Akiva. Sometimes they change the sound of the B to a V, and sometimes they change the sound of the W, which is O in like toe or oath in English, to a V.
Yeah, and I found all of those. But it is that's why you need a point system so you can make everything change.
I guess so.
But hey, who wants to change jots and tittles? I mean,
I know what Yosha said about that. Yeah, I know what Yosha said about those yods, which is the first letter in Yahowah's name, reaching down and out to us, which, by the way, was not a J, it was a Y. And what he, think about the letter J. How is that an open hand reaching out to us?
No, I'm afraid not.
No. So, what you came to the conclusion is that since he said the covenant is forever, that the only possibility for Christianity, should we completely negate what he said in Jeremiah 31, should we completely be ignorant of that, the only possibility for Christianity would be that God, without announcing it, decided that he was wrong, that the existing covenant either would not be forever, or that he got bored with it or didn't like it anymore, and that he would create a new covenant, but he would not let Yahusha speak of this. He would have Yahusha affirm the existing covenant, and only the existing covenant, and be the living embodiment of the Torah, perfectly Torah observant, answer every question by pointing people to the Torah. So that even all the way through his revelation, through all of his prophets, and then his words as spoken through Yahusha, that he would, and Yahukanan, that none of that would hold water. Yeah, none of that would hold water. That he would then bring along this fellow Shaul, Paul, whose ego was bigger than the planet itself, and he would have him propose an entirely different, an entirely contradictory covenant, and you would build the largest religion in the world on that notion.
Amazing. Why don't they burn the other pages? I mean, that just makes...
it's so moronic, it hurts.
Write your own book.
Wow. No wonder the truth's not popular.
Yeah.
Glenn, I understand that you have a question either for Kirk or myself regarding...
Hey, Glenn.
Yeah.
Hey, Glenn.
Hi.
Yeah, I'll bring it. Hello. Yeah, I'll preface this by pointing out that I'm asking this in all earnestness and not merely being a contrarian.
Okay.
Okay. Given that what you've just gone through, you and Kirk have just worked through, about with whom God is making his covenant, his contract, this would seem to be problematic for Khazarian descendants of Ashkenaz, who's a descendant of Japheth, not Shem, for Ethiopians, and perhaps even for Spanish Sephardim, leaving the only real racial group in Israel that would be eligible for the contract to be the Mizrahi Jews.
Yeah,
Israel.
Yeah, this whole idea of the realization that we have 10 of the 12 tribes, and maybe it's 9 of the 12 tribes that were, for the most part, annihilated by and hauled off, not annihilated really, they were hauled off into slavery into Assyria and spent time in Babylon, and not all of them returned, and that only Yahowah, which would be in that area, Benjamin, and the Lowy remained within Yahowah. As I think of the migrations of people, I do think that there are remnants of all 12 tribes, and that enough of the Israelites, I say Ephraim, the tribes associated with Ephraim, did make it back to various places around the world, and that they migrated to Europe. A lot of them lived in the Middle East, and many actually ultimately came back to Israel later. So I think that Yahowah, who invented DNA, is going to be able to discern descendants of all 12 tribes, and is going to be able to do it fairly readily. And there really is a difference here, Glenn, between, and you know this, between those who are naturally born into the covenant. They still have to accept the terms and conditions of the covenant, but they are direct descendants of Abraham, of Yitzhak, and Jacob. And they are the chosen people. There's Yahowah chose a group of people with whom he would reveal himself to the world that would serve as examples, which is a logical way to express himself, rather than through many different cultures. Pick a culture and people, and that is going to be my people. I'm going to put them right at the crossroads of civilization. And then what he said is that this plan that he is communicating through them, with them as the chosen people for the witness and example, it's available for all of us to participate in. Same plan, but the rest of us are adopted into it as opposed to naturally born.
Well, I see it as a matter of Yahweh fulfilling his end of the bargain. Like You got the question of intermarriage, racial purity, and all that sort of stuff. Tracing the Jewish line through the female, through the mother, all these issues too. But I mean, it would seem that there would be an awful lot of half-breeds or partial breeds.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. and in fact, how he is going to determine who is sufficiently of the tribe of Yahowah to settle them in that region, and each of the tribes to the clans, if you will, to settle them in that region. Of interest to me, on the 1 to 10 scale, I'm not even sure that ranks as a 1. But, he invented DNA. Whatever the standard is that he's going to use, he's already conceived. He's going to use a standard, and he's going to have a certain number from each of the 12 tribes, and he's going to resettle them, and that's going to be their thing. I don't know if you have Yisraelite heritage in your background or not. To my knowledge, I don't. I'm Sioux Indian and Irish. And I am actually, I'm thrilled about the idea that it doesn't appear that I'm going to have any responsibility during the millennial celebration of the Shabbat of Sukkah. I'm looking forward to being unsettled and maybe even irresponsible. I'm looking forward to just going off and having fun for that period of time. And working for Yah is great, and I'm sure that everyone who's tasked with that's going to love it. But so is not having any responsibility and just getting to enjoy oneself.
I'm just going to curl up on the couch with Yahowah like a
okay, that works for me too. That works for me too.
I'm tired. I'm a tired guy.
Yeah, it works for me too. We'll be back tomorrow.
Already.
May Yah bless.